YouTube, my name is Mesa Sean, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. In this video, we're going to test out a number of changes to the ARC subclasses within Update 2.2.1. For the most part, they're pretty good, and it makes me think, you know what, they should do a Solar Week, they should do a Void Week, because sometimes I feel like some of those subclasses could use a little tweaking or buffing. So let's get into it, folks, and if you enjoy this video, a like rating is very much appreciated, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Let's do this, folks. Before we get into those changes, let's go over some breaking news. There is a known issue right now, and Bungie has disabled getting any of the pinnacle weapons right now for Season of the Drifter. Hold on, more than likely they'll fix this right away. There was a glitch, and some of you guys sent it to me privately on Twitter, and thank you for doing that, because I sent it right over to Bungie. Yeah, there was a glitch where you can get unlimited pinnacle weapons. You could pick them up over and over and over, and because they're masterworked, people were dismantling them, so they get tons of masterwork cores, so Bungie just simply disabled it for now, and I'm sure we will have a fix within the next day or so. So stay tuned. Next up, we now know how to get the ARBALEST. The quest leak was found out by the data miners, and I will link the thread in the description from good old Reddit. But the ARBALEST is a kinetic linear fusion rifle. Now, the main perk is called Compounding Force. It's going to fire slugs that cause massive damage to elemental shields of enemy combatants. The second perk is called Disruption Break. Breaking an enemy shield with this weapon makes them more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a brief time. It looks like the quest line is going to kick off when the Revelry hits. That's going to be a free live event that will kick off on April 16th. I reported a while back that Eva Levante in the database had a number of bounties relating to Spring Fever. Well, that got updated with not only the quest line for the ARBALEST, but a few other things that are just classified. Many of those bounties, they also mention what's called the Verdant Forest. Now, the Verdant Forest, from what I gather, is going to be either a reskinned or reimagined version of the Infinite Forest, kind of like we had in the Festival of the Lost. So here is the quest steps posted by Eander over on Reddit. So first off, go speak to Eva Levante. She will be back at the tower for this event. Then we have choose a mood. Use Reveler's Tonic to apply good moods. I have no idea what that means. Then accept a Revelry bounty from Eva Levante. That probably relates to all of those bounties, and there are multiple bounties in the database. I'll link them in the description for you guys. Then we have Into the Woods. Clear branches of the Verdant Forest. The next step says return to Eva Levante at the tower to unlock Revelry bounties. Now, according to the Reddit post, it says, according to Eva's manifest file, this weapon can be purchased from her with 300 of the still classified currency, and there's a currency that's in the database, and we don't know what that is. He goes on to say that currency appears to be earnable by completing Revelry bounties, and he says most bounties appear to reward 25 of whatever this material is called. So 12 bounties should be enough to make this purchase. At the time of recording this video, Bungie just tweeted out, we are investigating an issue where the Sony exclusive weapon Wavesplitter was made available from Xur on Xbox and PC. Let me know in the comment section if you were one of those lucky devils. That thing is really, really good in PvP. Dylan from Bungie also tweeted out, oh, I missed a patch note. Faded Engrams on Xur now have a chance to drop Forsaken Exotics. Now, for me personally, I need Shards of Galanor, and the Faded Engram is supposed to not give you duplicates, so you know what I will be doing Friday when I make my Xur video. Now let's get into the changes to the ARC subclasses. First off, we have the Code of the Juggernaut for the Striker Titan. Now, the two things that got changed were Frontal Assault and also Knockout. So Frontal Assault, that perk is strike an enemy with this melee ability to reload your weapon and increase both your weapon stability and weapon damage. Knockout is when you critically wound an enemy or break their shield, you get an increase in your melee range and also your damage. Now, you'll notice I keep getting my melee charge back, and that's because I'm using the exotic, the Insurmountable Skull Fort. That is going to give you your melee charge back as long as you get a melee kill with a charged melee. So here's what they did for the buff. So for Frontal Assault, where you get more damage when you melee something, well, they're going to buff the duration from 10 to 16 seconds. That's a long time. It's going to display on the side of the screen. You can see it right there on the side of the screen. And then the buff for PvE damage is 25%, and in PvP it's going to be 20%. For knockout, the buff duration is increased from 3 to 5 seconds. The buff is no longer disabled after a melee attack. In addition to breaking a shield, the buff now triggers once you deal 60% damage to a target. Any damage dealt after 60% refreshes the timer. They increased the bonus melee damage from 25% all the way up to 60%. So far, I like these changes, especially Frontal Assault. You get that melee kill, and if you wear the insurmountable skull fort, your melee comes back right away. However, you will notice that damage increase, and it lasts for a good 16 seconds. Normally that blight takes a few more shots for me to take out, but I can melee something, then use Wardcliff Coil, even though it got nerfed a little bit, and it's still going to do some pretty good damage. So what I would do is melee something before you're going to do some DPS on a boss or something with Wardcliff, and yeah, you're going to get that 25% buff in PvE. In PvP, it'll be 20%. So overall, a great tuning, and I think running it with the insurmountable skull fort, it's going to be a great time for you. When it comes to the Hunter Arcstrider, they buffed the top tree and the bottom tree. The top one is Way of the Warrior, which you are seeing on screen right now, and Way of the Wind. When it comes to Way of the Warrior, they buffed two things: Combination Blow and Deadly Reach. The perk Combination Blow has kill an enemy with this melee ability to trigger health regeneration and also increase your melee damage temporarily and will stack up to 3 times. Now for Deadly Reach, we have dodging increases your melee range, allowing you to lunge further to strike enemies. So here's the tuning they did to Combination Blow. Bonus melee damage can now stack 3 times. Buff increase melee damage by 60% per stack in PvE. That buff increased melee damage is going to be 22.7% per stack in PvP. This ability was previously 1 stack and increased melee damage by only 50%. And kills with this ability now heal 40 health in addition to starting health regen. For Deadly Reach, they increased the buff duration from 6 seconds to 8 seconds, and the buff is no longer consumed by a melee hit. Here I am letting the Vex take some shots at me. I get to low health, get the melee, I get 40 plus health, and it starts health regeneration. So overall, this is a really fun just dodging, running around, punching things, and meleeing them as long as you can get that melee kill with the charged melee, it appears. For exotic armor, I was using the Frost EE5s, which give you rapid cooldown. Sprinting gives energy, dodging speeds up sprint. So you can get that melee and dodge back really quickly. I mean, you still want to use Raid and Flux when you want to just tear up a room with your super, but yeah, I really like the changes they did to this subclass. Now moving on to Arcstrider Way of the Wind. First off, we have Focused Breathing. Increased dodge recharge bonus while sprinting from 50% to 100%. Now look at how quickly I am getting that energy back because of 2 reasons. 1, the buff, but then also because I am wearing the Frosties. The Frosties give me rapid cooldown, which makes all of your abilities recharge faster. So for dodge, you get that back really quickly, but it also will give you energy for your grenade and your melee. I like to use those on my I like to use the Frosties on my Night Stalker when it comes to PvP. I want lots of smoke grenades. Next up for Way of the Wind, we have Disorienting Blow. Strike an enemy with this melee ability to disorient the target, but also nearby enemies. In the patch notes, we have increased the melee disorient distance from 4 meters to 6 meters, and also increased the duration of disorient on players from 1.5 to 2 seconds. To be frank, folks, I didn't really notice that much of a difference between the 4 meters and the 6 meters, and I did test it out in a number of situations to see how far I could get or how many enemies I could get to be disoriented. They also buffed combat meditation and also lightning reflexes. So combat meditation is when you are critically wounded, you will see a grenade and melee regeneration buff, and also lightning reflexes means that you are harder to kill when you dodge. So for combat meditation, they're buffing that bonus grenade and melee regeneration while bloodied by 25%. For lightning reflexes, in terms of you being harder to kill when you're dodging, they increase the damage resistance while dodging from 25% to 40% in PvP, and they increase the damage resistance while dodging from 63% to 70% in PvE. So overall, I like the changes to the 2 Arcstrider paths, and I really like the Frosties when it comes to an exotic armor piece, but of course, Raid and Flux is still going to be the best when you actually use your super. Let's finish the video off with talking about the Stormcaller. Now, in general, the Stormcaller super got a damage scale up to 150% over 5 seconds of continuous use of the attack. Now let's move into the first tree, which is going to be the Attunement of Conduction. You just saw me use the arc grenade and I got arc web to proc. So with arc web, they increased the chain range from 10 to 12 meters, can now chain to many more targets and back and forth between targets. Chaining arc damage now reduces the cooldown of your grenade, and that works with arc web chains and chains from chain lightning melees. And you earn 3% energy per instance of damage in PvE and 10% energy per instance of damage in PvP. In terms of exotic armor, I was really digging the Crown of Tempest, and that's going to be the helmet where arc ability kills restore arc abilities, because you want to get as many melees and grenades as possible. Now here we're looking at the Attunement of Elements, and the arc soul got a buff in terms of its duration. Those little things that float around you and your allies, those went up from 8 seconds to 12 seconds. Now you see a perk on the left hand side of the screen, Electrostatic Surge. That's when an ally is standing near you. It will help you recharge your rift energy. So in the update, increase bonus regeneration rate of the rift by 600% per nearby friendly guardian. Now, I only have one friend here, Son of Krypton, and you can see the recharge rate's not bad, but that's going to stack dramatically if you have numerous people around you. So in PvP or in the raid, this is going to be very handy. Also, they extended the rift duration from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. That is going to do it for this video, guys. Leave me a good old hashtag made it to the end if you did make it to the end. If you would like to further support this channel and become a channel member, click the link at the top of the description. That's it, guys. Do me a favor, drop a like in this video only if you see fit. Follow me on Twitter at Mesa Sean. Check out my stream, usually you know he's on YouTube, and that is it. I am out of here like Vladimir.